Sword and Shield English booster boxes have been doing extremely well in the past 2 months, gaining a lot of traction and interest and going up in price. But those increases in price haven't been spread out equally depending on the set. So in today's video, I want to give you my opinion on what I think is the best booster box to invest in April 2024. Let's get straight into it. Hey guys, it's Pokemonster TCG here, back with another Pokemon investment video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my opinion on which booster box I think is the best for you to pick up. So as you guys know, a lot of these sets recently in Sword and Shield have been picking up a lot of traction. A lot of the news started with Evolving Skies, which is hitting $600, $700 and £600 now. So that's not going to be one that I'm considering in this video because I want to focus on something that I think people are still able to pick up as a realistic investment. Now moving on to the next few sets, Fusion Strike has been getting a lot of attention because it's sold out in the Pokemon Center in the US. Meanwhile, Lost Origin has been getting a lot of attention in the UK, going for similar prices to what Fusion Strike goes for in the US, but in the UK. So if we start off by looking at Lost Origin prices to start with, so for my US viewers, you may be very surprised to see these Lost Origin last solds. On my screen, I've got the last one for £190, which is going to be over $230 US. When you look at Lost Origin in the US, however, you can still pick it up right from the Pokemon Center. Same with Brilliant Stars. So I think at the start of this video, it's really important to point out the regional differences across the Atlantic. So in the UK, Lost Origin is unable to be found on the Pokemon Center, but in the US it is. With Fusion Strike, for my American viewers, you may be surprised to see that it's still available for purchase at retail price in the UK for £143, which is going to be roughly around $180 US. But for the focus of this video, I wanted to focus on what I think is the best pickup in the UK, and then we'll see whether that still applies to the US. So my pick for the best set to pick up in the UK in April 2024 is Silver Tempest. In my opinion, this is the best set that you can pick up in the UK in April 2024, and I'll explain why very shortly. So to explain why, in my view, Silver Tempest is the best pickup in the UK at the moment, we have to look at the current value of Silver Tempest. So looking at the booster box, you can see it's still teetering around what we would consider the ordinary retail price. Now, the RRP or the MSRP is going to be £143, but when new sets come out, usually you do expect a little bit of a discount under that. And as you can see with Silver Tempest, it has been going up, but it's still barely hitting 100 or just above 100. We've got a 105 sold here, 110, 99, 92, 103, but you can see that Silver Tempest hasn't really taken off, and that's one of the big reasons why I'm a big proponent of this set. The reason why the starting price matters when you're buying a booster box for investment is not only in terms of how much you think it can grow from that point. Obviously, a booster box which goes from £100 to £200 gives you a much better return than a booster box that you buy at £150 or dollars, which goes up to $200 US. So that's the upside potential of a set, and obviously buying low does give you that greater upside potential. But one thing that people never think about is also the lower downside risk when you are buying at a lower price. And the reason why downside risk matters in the context of modern Pokemon is because I don't think we are out of the woods yet with Fusion Strike onwards from reprints. Now, Lost Origin and Silver Tempest both got reprints midway through last year, which dramatically reduced the price, and Fusion Strike is approaching close to 2.5 years since release. So the odds aren't high of there being a reprint, but as we've seen with recent experience, you can never put it past the Pokemon company to not reprint a booster box that's like that. The best example I have for this is XY Evolution's booster packs. Now, XY Evolutions came out in 2016, and even as far as the Legends of Galar tins, which I believe came out in 2020, you could still find factory fresh Evolutions packs in there. Now, the counter argument for that is obviously the reprint window for single and loose packs is obviously very different to a booster box. So there is an argument there, but nevertheless, if we're thinking about striking the right balance between getting both the upside potential and reducing your downside risk, I think Silver Tempest is the best pick. because let's say it got a reprint tomorrow alongside Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike in the US is $220 and it's 165 pounds in the UK. With a reprint, let's assume it's moderately large, that booster box price is going to go right the way down to pretty much what it was selling for before. So I would expect it to go down to 110 pounds, 120 pounds, 120, 130 US dollars for argument's sake. Meanwhile, Silver Tempest, which is already very, very low and for which you've committed a lower sum, if it gets reprinted, do I see it going much lower than 90 pounds? No, not really. Because with these really, really good Sword and Shield sets, I don't think I'm expecting to see it to go to 80 pounds or even lower than that. If that happens, something is very wrong. So the biggest reason why I'm such a big proponent of Silver Tempest is the combination of the high upside potential and the low downside risk. Now, I'm not just picking this set out of nothing, right? It's also got the substance behind it, and that's why I want to talk about why Silver Tempest is my best pick, because people always analyze set strength when they're recommending investments to you, and in my opinion, Silver Tempest is potentially a little bit underrated. I think it's fair to say that from Chilling Reign up to Silver Tempest, every single set in there has an argument for being a very, very good set. You've got Chilling Reign, which has the VMAX alt arts, it's got 2 or 3 of them, plus a lot of alt arts. Same with Evolving Skies, but I'm not talking about it for obvious reasons. Then you got Fusion Strike, which has 4 VMAX alt arts again. The big thing that came out from Brilliant Stars onwards is that these sets, Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, and Silver Tempest, none of them had VMAX alt arts, which are really popular cards, but they each at least have 1 chase alt art, and on top of that they have the trainer gallery. And my point is, Brilliant Stars and Lost Origin are doing what they're doing, which is they're valued much higher in the UK. So Brilliant Stars, let's see what it's going for. Brilliant Stars is going for about 150 pounds now, and Lost Origin, as I've shown you before, is 185, 190, and Silver Tempest is 99 to 100. All of these sets though all contain trainer galleries. Obviously the quality of the trainer gallery differs one from another. Lost Origin has the VMAX Pikachu, but I think the Silver Tempest one is a little bit underrated. So the main chase card that you're going to be looking for in Silver Tempest is obviously the Lugia, right? But we can add a few layers to that. So the Lugia has a very nice Lugia V drawn by Mitsuhiro Arita, so that's already a plus. There we have it. So just showing that because it is one of my favorite illustrations from the Sword and Shield era. And then you obviously have the Rainbow, the V-Star, but obviously the main pull of this set is going to be the Lugia V alt art. And just looking at the artwork, in my view, it is a little bit underrated. It's probably going for less than half of what the Giratina V alt art is going for. This Lugia V was drawn by Kawayu, who's obviously one of my favorite artists, and it has that Shining Gyarados vibe. And if we look a little bit at the rest of the set, I think Silver Tempest does a really good job at having that combined set theme. So sometimes you get a mishmash of sets and they don't work together, but in the case of Silver Tempest, it was Paradigm Trigger and Incandescent Arcana, and I think the whole fairy, Vulpix, Lugia vibe goes really well. On top of that, you've got a Ho-Oh together with the Lugia in a set, which I think is not to be scoffed at. And finally, you've got one of the most popular trainer cards from the Sword and Shield era in Serena. Next, we're going to look a little bit at the trainer gallery. So looking at the trainer gallery for this set, it's obviously not the strongest, but I do think it is potentially overlooked again. It's got one of my favorite trainer cards from the Sword and Shield era, bar none, which is the Friends in Galar, which is the Sword and Shield equivalent of the Friends in Alola. There you have it. You got all of the main Sword and Shield characters together with a Marnie. I think it's really cool, and Gloria. But then you've also got a Rayquaza, and I think that maybe gets overlooked a little bit. You've got the Rayquaza Trainer Gallery VMAX. So I think where I'm getting at with this is I appreciate that the set strength for many people of Lost Origin and Brilliant Stars and Fusion Strike is going to be better than Silver Tempest. However, my question is it better to the point of justifying the exact price difference? So is Lost Origin twice as good as Silver Tempest is what I'm saying. And in my opinion, no. Is Fusion Strike twice as good as Silver Tempest? Another time, no. So I think when you're looking at investing and looking for value in things, this is the kind of question that I'm asking myself, which is, I appreciate that these sets are better than Silver Tempest, but are they better to the point to justify the market value difference? And in my opinion, it's a no. Now, the final thing that I think is really important to look at when you're looking at these sets is how long they've been out for. The reason why is twofold. One is how likely is it to get a reprint, but two is also how much time has it had to grow. And if we look at the main sets that are in contention in the YouTube sphere for discussion right now, aside from Evolving Skies, it's going to be Chilling Reign, Fusion, Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, and Silver Tempest. As you can see, Silver Tempest is the most recently released set, which is less than 1.5 years ago. That means that it is susceptible to reprint, but for the reasons that I've set out before, i.e. the low downside risk, I think that it's more shielded from a reprint in terms of how much the price can plunge down compared to Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Fusion Strike. And on the upside, it's literally only been out for 1.5 years, so it still has so much more time to grow. Whereas when you compare it to Chilling Reign, it's been out since June 18th, 2021, which is coming up to 3 years in about 3 months, compared to 1.5 years for Silver Tempest. So if you're in the US, I think the conclusion is slightly different at the moment. And the reason why the conclusion is different is obviously because on the US Pokemon Center, you can still get Lost Origin booster boxes up to a case of 6. But if the Pokemon Center didn't exist and we were just looking at buying a box on TCG Player, we can see that Lost Origin is $172 US. Brilliant Stars is $160 US, Chilling Reign at $190 US, and let's check what Silver Tempest is. And again, Silver Tempest, $138 US at the bottom of that pile, and in my opinion, the most undervalued. However, I do have to adjust the conclusion a little bit compared to the UK and say that the price difference between Lost Origin and Silver Tempest in the US is a little bit more reasonable than what I see here in the UK. So that's pretty much it for this video. In my conclusion, Silver Tempest, this set is definitely the best one to pick up in April 2024 if you're in the UK and looking for an entry point into Sword and Shield booster boxes. There's no doubt that any of these sets are going to be doing really well, but again, I think if there is a reprint, notwithstanding the fact that, you know, Sword and Shield is slowly going out of rotation very soon, it's still susceptible to a reprint, and in that case, Silver Tempest strikes the best balance in terms of being currently undervalued, but also that means that it's not going to suffer as big of a price shock if there is a reprint that comes out. So hopefully this was a good video for you guys. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It really does help out, and I'll see you guys next time.